In mind as you raise your hand if you want to answer the questions.
Okay, our story is Frog and Toad out of the book of Frog and Toad Together. The chapter I'm going to read is called The Garden. Can anybody think of what might happen in the garden? Monty.
They might grow plants.
They might grow plants. Jesse?
They might grow flowers.
Might grow flowers. Avion. They might grow flowers. Okay, I'll ask some more questions in there. Frog was in his garden. Toad came walking by. What a fine garden you have, Frog, he said. Yes, said Frog, it is very nice, but it was hard work. I wish I had a garden, said Toad. Here are some flower seeds. Plant them in the garden, said Frog, and soon you will have a garden. How soon? Asked Frog. Why, how soon? Asked Toad. Quite soon, said Frog. Toad ran home. He planted the flower seeds. Now seeds, said Toad, start growing. Toad walked up and down a few times. The seeds didn't start to grow. Toad put his head head close to the ground and said loudly, now seeds, start growing. Toad looked at the ground again. The seeds still did not start to grow. Toad put his head very close to the ground and shouted, now seeds, start growing. Frog came running up the path. What is all the noise? He asked. My seeds will not grow, said Toad. You are shouting too much, said Frog. These poor seeds are afraid to grow. My seeds are afraid to grow, asked Toad. Of course, said Frog. Leave them alone for a few days. Let the sun shine on them. Soon your seeds will start to grow. Will his seeds grow?
Yes. After he's done doing all the things like singing.
That night, Toad looked out his window. Rat, said Toad. My seeds have not started to grow. They must be afraid of the dark. Toad went out to his garden with some candles. I will read the seeds a story, said Toad. Then they will not be afraid. Toad read a long story to his seeds. All the next day, Toad sang songs to his seeds. All the next day, Toad read poems to his seeds. All the next day, Toad played music for his seeds. Toad looked at the ground. The seeds still did not grow. What shall I do? Cried Toad. These must be the most frightened seeds in the world. Then Toad felt very tired and he fell asleep. Do you guys think the seeds will grow when he wakes up?
Yeah. Well, the other animal has to wake him up and say, your seeds are growing.
Toad, wake up, said Frog. Look at your garden. Toad looked at his garden. Little green plants were coming up out of the ground. At last, shouted Toad, my seeds have stopped being afraid to grow. And now you will have a nice garden too, said Frog. Yes, said Toad, but you're right, Frog. It was very hard work. What was the hard work that Frog got in the garden? Octavian?
That he got that singing poems and books and stories to his seeds hard work. But
Toad thought
but
singing and everything was.
Yeah.
So what was Frog thinking hard work was?
Like hoeing and stuff.
Hoeing and pulling the weeds. Very good. Thank you guys.
You're welcome.